How do you think these first round playoff matches are going to go up in the Eastern and Western Conference?
I think they're going to be very competitive. I mean, obviously, the 2-7 matchups for the most part, when you look at who they're facing, right? You got the Boston Celtics going up against the Atlanta Hawks. And then, of course, you got the LA Lakers going up against the Grizzlies. Personally and honestly, depending on how the Lakers come out in the first game, I believe that the Lakers could upset Memphis. But with everything Memphis has gone through, I wouldn't be surprised if they carry that. So I'll take the Grizzlies in that one. Going back to the Hawks and Celtics, I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are too good. I think Atlanta had not a fluke game, but I don't have enough faith in them to go and beat a Celtics team that is looking to get back into the finals. So I'll take the Celtics comfortably in that. Then you go into the 3-6 seed in both sides. So you get the Nets and the Sixers, Warriors and the Kings. In the Nets and Sixers game, I don't think the Nets have enough. I think the Sixers are finally going to shake that narrative. Joel Embiid's having an MVP season. James Harden's playing well. Tyrese Maxey has emerged to be the third option there. I really do think that Philadelphia can find a way to weather the storm and just like I said, break that narrative of struggling in the postseason. Not to say that the Nets haven't done very well since making the trades to get rid of Kyrie and KD. Mikal Bridges has played exceptionally well. I just don't think that they're going to have enough to go and beat a strong Sixers team. Then you go into, like I said, the Warriors and the Kings. It's all about two narratives here for the Warriors. Can their experience carry them through, and can they find a way to win on the road? I think the Warriors find a way to upset just because they've been in this matchup before. They've been the underdogs a multitude of times. Not to mention, the Warriors have quite literally won every single first round matchup since their dynasty has started. I don't think Steve Kerr has lost a single Western Conference game in his tenure as a NBA head coach in the playoffs in terms of a series, not game, excuse me. So I think they're going to find a way to upset the Kings. I think it'll go probably 6 or 7 just because the Warriors, again, they cannot find ways to win on the road consistently. So I'll take the Warriors in 7. And then finally, the most exciting matchups to me in both conferences, the 4 and the 5 seed. You got the New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers, LA Clippers, Phoenix Suns. You got Jalen Brunson versus Donovan Mitchell, and then you got Kawhi Leonard versus Kevin Durant. Two marquee matchups right there. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell has been here before. Donovan Mitchell has been the leader of multiple playoff teams. He always thrives. He averages over 30 points per game in his playoff career. I would expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to just barely, and I mean barely, edge off the Knicks in 6. I think, truthfully, the Knicks are there, but they've had some spurts where they kind of disappear. RJ Barrett hasn't performed well. Mitchell Robinson has been unavailable multiple times. So if they can stay healthy, it'll maybe go to 7. But I just have Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland pulling that in 6. And then the Clippers and the Suns one, that I can see going 7 games. We don't know when Paul George is going to be available, if he's even going to be ready to come back in this round. If this were to go 7 games, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I'm looking at Kawhi versus KD, and then obviously Devin Booker is going to have to carry the team on the second side in terms of the second person to score. And then, of course, you have Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and a list of other players. But I'm going to go with Phoenix winning in 7. I just think this is going to be a crazy game going back and forth. Both Kawhi and KD are probably going to average somewhere between 25 and 30 points per game this series. It's just who's going to turn the ball over more. Chris Paul, we all know, is the point god, always gets injured in the playoffs. So if he can stay healthy, if he can find a way to lead this team and distribute the ball and not turn it over, I think Phoenix can carry this and actually make a pretty decent postseason run. But for this round, for this particular series, I'm going to take Phoenix in 7.
And Kev, when it comes to me, I'm just going to go over the same matchups that you went in order that you did. I'm going to start with the Grizzlies and the Lakers. When I look at that 2-7 matchup, granted, I am a Lakers fan. I'm going to try to be objective here. I am going to pick the Grizzlies in this one. I just believe that youth and the grit that the Grizzlies have at their disposal, I think it's going to be too much for the Lakers to handle. I do believe this series has a potential to go 6-7 games, but I think the Grizzlies are just too well-rounded of a team, and I think they're going to move on to the second round. When it comes to the Celtics and the Hawks, Kev, I'm with you 100%. I'm going with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown all day in this matchup. I just don't believe that Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are going to be able to overcome the firepower that the Celtics have as a cohesive unit. I think the Celtics could potentially wrap this series up in 5 games. More than likely, it might go 6, but I think the Celtics win this one handily, and they'll move on to the second round. After that, we'll go into the 76ers and Nets matchup. This is going to be just a continuing path, you guys. I do believe that the 76ers will win this series over the Nets. I love the fact that Mikal Bridges has been playing absolutely on fire since being traded from Phoenix, but when it comes to the depth that the 76ers have with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, These dudes are going to be ridiculous. Also, James Harden as well. Almost forgot him for a second. But it's just that the 76ers have a really deep roster to work with right now, and I think it's going to be too much for the Nets to handle. I think the 76ers win this one probably around 5-6 games. I'd be surprised if this one really goes 7. The 76ers are just too stacked as far as I see it. Then when it goes to the Kings and the Warriors matchup, this is going to be a very fun series as far as I see it. This is basically, you could say, the new guard potentially coming in with the Kings. The Kings are a very good team this year. They have finally shaken off the narrative of missing the playoffs for essentially the last 15 to 20 years. I think this is the first time they've been in the playoffs in 17 years. De'Aaron Fox has been absolutely unbelievable. Sabonis right along with him. When it comes to the Warriors, this is where the dynasty part comes in. Can they be able to continue this dynasty? Can they keep it afloat against a younger, more inexperienced playoff team when it comes to the Kings? I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say the Warriors are going to win this series. I think they're going to upset the Kings. I think the Kings, they are moving in the right direction, but I'm going with the playoff experience here. And I do believe one of the things that Kevin brought up, if the Warriors win some road games in this series, I think it's going to tilt the series in their favor. And also on top of that, Andrew Wiggins will be available for them in this series. Whatever sort of capacity they put them in, don't know yet. More than likely, he's going to come off the bench. But I think if he can come off the bench, get 20 to 25 minutes, I think it's going to be huge for the Warriors because they've definitely missed his presence since he's been out for an extended period of time. After that, we kick it to the 4 and 5 series. These are going to be very fun matchups as far as I see it. I think the Cavs and Knicks series is going to be a fun one. The same goes with the Suns and the Clippers. The focus on the Cavs and Knicks one, I'm going to agree with Kev. I'm going to go with the Cavs on this one. I just believe that the dynamic duo of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, you could throw Jared Allen in there as well. I think it's going to be too much for the Knicks to handle. I do think that the Knicks could potentially push this series to 7 games because I got to respect Julius Randle. Emmanuel Quickley has been on an absolute tear throughout stretches this year. I'm not going to disrespect what the Knicks have done this year. They've been a pretty solid team this year, but I think the Cavs are just going to edge out the Knicks. But that's going to be a very fun series when I see that series play out. And then when it comes to the Suns and the Clippers, I'm actually going to be a little bit more bold when it comes to this series. I do believe the Suns will win this one actually fairly convincingly. I think the Suns have a potential to win this series 5 to 6 games. Does it have the potential to go to 7? Yes, but I do think that the Suns, just from a roster construction perspective, I think they're just too deep to deal with for the Clippers. When it comes to Paul George's status, we'll see. We'll see whatever sort of capacity that he can play in if he's available. But when it comes to the Suns, you got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton to deal with. That is going to be too much for the Clippers to handle as far as I see it. And I think the Suns advance to the second round of the playoffs. So in those 2-7, 3-6, and 4-5 matchups, that's how I have it playing out in both the Eastern and the Western Conference.